What is going on? It is Nate the Game Guy coming back with another video at hand, and today I want to talk to you guys about some game collecting tips that you may not know. Of course, with these tips, these are tips that I've learned over the years, either through personal experience, trying things out, learning things from other game collectors, and so on. Of course, with these tips, I'm going to be covering a little bit about different things here and there on how to save money when it comes to game collecting, how to protect your game collection, along with a few miscellaneous things sprinkled in here and there, and all that wonderful stuff. So, without further ado, let's jump right into this video's topic, take a look at some game collecting tips that I've got to share for you guys right after the intro. Alright, so before I jump into this video's topic, I just want to give a quick moment and say if you do enjoy this video at any point whatsoever, please do consider giving the video a like. It helps boost it up into the YouTube algorithm so more viewers such as you can find videos just like this. And of course, please do consider subscribing because I post a ton of content when it comes to game collecting tips, and other video game related subjects. So if that is something that you're interested in, please do consider subscribing, but also don't forget to hit the bell notification button so that way you will be notified when I upload a video just like this. But with that quick disclaimer out of the way, let me talk to you guys about my first game collecting tip, and that is you may want to consider picking up some sports games. I know, sports games. Really? Why should I pick up some sports games? Well, let's face it, most people don't really like playing older sports games, let alone collecting them, myself included. Of course, I do have some sports games laying around for my own collection, for me trying to complete as many sets as possible. But what exactly about these games that you guys should go pick up? Well, I'll tell you exactly why you should pick up, some Maddens, some 2Ks, and all that wonderful stuff is because, let me tell you about this. Let's say you buy a game, right, that you enjoy and you want it to add to your collection, but for whatever reason, the case is cracked. Or say you buy a wholesale lot of games, case is cracked. Life happens, game falls off of a shelf, case is cracked. Here's what you do with your sports games that I'm telling you guys that you should consider picking up. Here's what you should do with them. Get yourself a sports game that you're saving, and what you would do is then you just take out the insert disc manual. If you've got any of that stuff, of course, use some Goo Gone to get rid of that little NBA logo right there. And say you've got like your copy of Uncharted or Infamous that got like the case cracked, all that stuff. Swap out the cases, boom, there you go. So sports games can be a relatively good supply when it comes to some replacement cases. For consoles that I recommend doing that when it comes to flipping out sports games and swapping the cases and all that stuff, I recommend like PS2, OG Xbox 360, GameCube. I would say for the most part, most consoles. But of course, I will go into some more exceptions later on down in this video. But I can tell you right there, with that in mind, I can truthfully say there is a little bit of some more value that you can get out of some of those sports games that you just see just overtaking the entire like bargain bin section at like your local game shop. Because after all, most people don't like playing them, let alone collecting them. But anyway, there's a little tip for you guys on something that you can do about some of those sports games you just don't really feel like playing, let alone collecting. And speaking about game cases, that leads me to my next tip about you might want to collect a few games that don't include the disc, but they may have the manual or the case. Let me elaborate a little further. Essentially, let's say, like with me, I've got this empty case of X-Men Legends 2 for PSP. It's got the case, the insert, the manual, but of course, it doesn't have a game. So a little story about this. I won't go too much into detail. I basically went to a free Craigslist pickup many years ago where it came with a bunch of empty game cases. Of course, there were other things there as well, but I decided to take all these empty cases of games, and after all, everything was free because let me tell you about this. If you happen to get some empty cases such as this, where it does get the manual and the case inside, whether it might be a free pickup or whatever your situation may be, I would say take advantage of that, because now, since I have an empty case such as this with the manual, now if I happen to find just a game or a disc or a cartridge based only copy of said game, now I can pay significantly less for it because I'm just buying the disc or the cartridge or whatever it may be by itself instead of buying it complete in box. Therefore, I'm saving money. So I have to say, when I did get that pickup not like so many years ago, that helped me save a bunch of money. Of course, I haven't got my disc-only copy yet to make this copy of X-Men 2 complete, but I do have to say that is something that you really should consider and really think about doing, is picking up some empty game cases with manuals when the opportunity presents itself. Because like I said, you can now buy a disc-only copy instead of a complete in-box copy, therefore saving you some good old money. Alright, so here's another game collecting tip I want to share with you guys, and that is you may want to look at some trade credit first before you sell a game. So what do I mean by this? A lot of game collectors, what they'll do to fund their game collection is they'll go to thrift stores, yard sales, whatever, and they will buy games and they will keep the games that they want and sell the games that they don't want to make a profit to cover some of their expenses of trying to build their game collection. However, sometimes there are trade-in prices that are better than selling it on eBay, Mercari, or whatever, especially since the postal rates keep going up and up and up each year. And of course, eBay has increased fees over the years as well. So sometimes the trade-in credit might get you more value than what you would get if you were to sell it on eBay or Mercari or whatever your case may be. Here's an example. Several years ago, I found a copy of New Super Mario Bros. Wii for the Wii. I found it at my local thrift store and I paid $1 for it. I saw that on eBay at the time that it was going for about $20 for a disc-only copy with free shipping. After all the fees, I would be expecting to get about $10 if I were to offer free shipping and all that. Of course, I offer free shipping with my listings because it makes the listings go up in search. And of course, I just factor in my shipping costs into the price. I went to my local GameStop after finding out with the trade-in values that I would be getting more money with my copy of New Super Mario Bros. Wii, and I got, if I remember correctly, about $11 or $12, which was just a little more than what I would get if I were to have sold it on eBay. Plus, I wouldn't have had to worry in case if somebody decided to put up a false item not as described. I just trade it in, get my credit, and pick up a game. And of course, that's just one example out of many others of games that I have done multiple trade-ins before in the past. But yeah, that is something that you guys may want to take into consideration. I do have a video where I talk more about detail about that somewhere right here that you guys can check out. But yeah, you may want to look at some trade-in credit first before you decide to sell your game. Now, of course, this is a tip that I have to share with you guys, and that is some of the replacement cases that you can get for the Sega Saturn and the Sega CD. Let's face it, Sega did not make the best cases for durability when it came to the Saturn and the Sega CD. It's not very hard to find games that are in cracked cases with just just not really a good look to them at your local game store, online, flea markets, or wherever you're looking at them. It's very common to find cracked cases for Saturn and Sega CD games. Thankfully, however, you can purchase replacement cases online for your Saturn and Sega CD games. However, I should probably mention with you guys, there are a few differences compared with the replacement cases compared to the actual original cases from back in the 90s. For example, with this case right here, it is a completely authentic case. This is the original case that Super Hang-On GP came in. You will see that it's a little bit foggy right here when it comes to the plastic right here. Meanwhile, if you were to buy a replacement case online for the Sega CD and Saturn, it's not going to be as foggy. And of course, there's just going to be just a few minor details that aren't really going to be noticeable. So if that is something that you wouldn't really be bothered by, I'm going to link a Amazon link down below in the description for you guys to check out. So hopefully that can help save you a little bit of some headache instead of you trying to hunt down a cheap copy of Madden NFL 97 for Saturn and then just swapping out the case or whatever. That might save you some time, effort, all that wonderful stuff. But yeah, that might be something you should take a look into when it comes to some of your replacement cases for the Saturn and the Sega CD. Hey guys, thank you so much for checking out my video. Please be sure to check out these videos here, and here. After all, I post a lot of content when it comes to game collecting tips, and other video game related subjects. So be sure to keep an eye out every Monday and Friday where I upload consistently, and I'll be seeing you guys next time.